Where do you consider home to be? Where you currently live, or the place you were born? For the first time in over a year, 18 months in fact, I returned to the place of my birth. It was once my home, and had been for the majority of my life. Yet, as I sat on a ship carrying me back to my native country, I felt a swirl of unnerving mixed emotions. The place I was returning to was definitely no longer my home. The place I had wrenched my heart away from was. When the pandemic swept across the world and closed life down in March of 2020, I had been in an in-between world. My beloved and I were on the cusp of a life of travel, but we found ourselves suddenly separated from everything, including each other. When life began to re-emerge from lockdowns, we carried what we could and set out to travel for the time that we had left. This ultimately and beautifully led to the start of the story that I am telling you now, and my life on a mountain farm. However, now the time had come to return to my homeland and organise aspects of my life that had been left in limbo. A large number of my possessions had been left in the garage of my childhood home. Some of them were no longer needed. We'd bought things like a washing machine in Portugal because the relative cost of shipping was prohibitive. Now, some harder decisions needed to be taken about some of my possessions. Things that I'd stored and held on to, but in actual reality had not used or even needed for over a year. The question was, were they necessary? Or was it time to let go of these things? But while there were many things that I needed to let go of, there was also time to reconnect and hold on to things that were dearly precious to me. The opportunity to spend some time with my niece, Amy. When Amy was 5 years old, I took her on a walk to a wood that I had discovered on my own wanderings. To me, the wood reminded me of Narnia. As we walked the track, she stopped with great certainty and announced that when she grew up, she would be an artist.
The food. Oh, look at this. Has arrived. Okay.
I took her words seriously. Children often do reveal things about their future, perhaps not always so directly, but they do. You just have to listen and nurture. Today, Amy is a graphic designer and a talented artist. She'd recently been made redundant, and I wanted to remind her of her true identity. I'll put a link to her Instagram account below. Please do support her. So, we set off to recreate the walk that we had done all those years ago and head for Narnia.
And what he'll do is he'll roll over on the ground so you can't pick him up.
She also has a talent for climbing, bouldering, and as a little 5-year-old, liked to climb high.
You went off up there and up there and along, and you're walking all the way along going, "It's all right, Auntie Debbie, I'm all right, I know what I'm doing." I'm like, ah. Oh no. So as a 5-year-old, that's where she went.
But now, as an early 20-something, she was a little bit more cautious. Some of the trees on the walk were suffering from the effects of bad weather.
That I think got struck by lightning. And a picture of it was on the other day. Yeah, it was really sad. It's like that.
It always makes me sad to see a tree damaged.
Yeah.
The walk we took is out of a small village, Hurst Green, nestled in the Ribble Valley in Lancashire. Part of the walk goes through a pine forest, which I once went to when it was covered with snow, and hence, for me, Narnia. I took Chris to Narnia in our early dating days, but the pine forest is a crop, and it had been cut down. I was devastated. However, I did return last year and filmed my walk through the wood. If you'd like to see it, I'll leave a link below.
Yes, so it's how do I do a shot?
On the edge of Hurst Green is Stonyhurst College, famous for some of its former pupils, Arthur Conan Doyle being one, who wrote the Sherlock books, but also J.R. Tolkien, who often came to visit while his son was studying in the 1950s. There are claims that a map of the region resembles the Shire in his books The Lord of the Rings, which is a nice thought, and one reason why I think I was drawn back again and again to this part of Lancashire. After a lovely reminisce and chat with my niece Amy, it was back to the matter at hand, sorting out my possessions.
I'm talking to you from a garage in Lancashire on a very wet late September day. I'm here to sort out my things, and I'm reminiscing. This sofa was one of the first things I bought when I was newly single, and strange as it may seem, it offered me a lot of comfort. It was a place that I would come and snuggle up on my own with a blanket and a glass of wine in front of the fire, watch TV and just chill out. And I loved it because it was mine. It's been with me a very long time. It's a thing. And I am really quite sad about seeing it go. But I have no choice. It can't come with me to Portugal. It's too expensive to ship, and it's not worth that. And if I leave it here, it's probably going to just get mouldy, and so hopefully, with a heavy heart, I'm going to give it away to a charity who maybe would give it to somebody who's a refugee, who has arrived here with nothing, and I hope that the person who sits in this in the future enjoys its warmth and its comfort, and they get a benefit from it, because I need to let it go. And I've thought about that long and hard. I've thought about coming here at this time and just realising how, one, it's very hard to get rid of things, inanimate objects, things that you don't need anymore, but it's still hard to do. But actually, to choose to live life more lightly is probably the choice that I need to make now. That as I grow older,
I need to start letting go of things and not holding on and hoarding them. Because ultimately, as I was reading the other day, one day I will have to learn to let go of even my breath. And that's not, a sad thing. It's a really positive thing. Because it means that things don't hold me down. Things don't bind me up or tie me to one place or to one emotion or one fixed memory. I'm free to have a period of time with people, things, places, but then I'm free to let them go. And I'm free to continue walking for as long as I have. And I'm free to enjoy that. So it's interesting sitting in a garage on a sofa, reminiscing the day before it leaves. It's raining. Can you hear the drips?
I returned to Portugal with the sofa still in my possession. The charity I contacted would not take it. Too green, loose covers, etc., etc. So despite trying to let go of things, the sofa stays in my possession and sits in my mum's garage until we can perhaps repurpose part of it and bring it to Portugal. Who knows? Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It'd be lovely to have you, and I will see you soon for another story. Bye for now.